Since the beginning of film history, we've seen a mainly white-dominated film industry, and mainly white male-dominated. White male patriarchy was strong. Indigenous peoples in particular have probably been the ones most stereotyped or most forgotten. In some sense, we are the forgotten ones. But we stand for it no more. We idol no more. Maybe you think of this movie, a movie centered around Kevin Costner's character where Indigenous peoples just happen to make a guest appearance, with a few historical inaccuracies. This film did have good cinematography, however, it was not a flourishing picture of real lives of Native people. We don't see a Native person until the 32-minute mark, and when we do, 3 minutes in, they killed a white man. Or maybe you think of Peter Pan. Peter Pan, one of my favorite Disney movies as a child. But now, I can hardly watch it because of how they depict Native Americans. They have really red skin and aren't characterized as smart like Peter and the Darlings are. Offensive! Pocahontas, yet another movie about a white savior and historical inaccuracies galore. Let's move on to a Disney Channel original movie, or DCOM for short. Besides the extremely stereotyped title and the white savior aspect to it, it's a good movie. Definitely better than Pocahontas when it comes to historical inaccuracies. Speaking of historical and cultural inaccuracies, the Brother Bear movie franchise does a good job at having next to none. However, the casting of said Native characters is a different story. Joaquin Phoenix, a white European man, plays the voice of the main character Kenai. Flash forward a few years later and we have Taylor Lautner, who was cast as Jacob Black in the infamous movie franchise Twilight. Come to find out, he has very distant relatives and the majority of his heritage comes from Europe. I was very disappointed when I found that out. I thought, guess we're back to Southern Europeans playing Native Americans again. Not again. 2019 brings a breath of fresh air with great movies such as this one, which I highly recommend. It is so good, it's on Netflix. Native-centered documentaries such as this one, and Native-centered stories being presented in popular TV shows such as Anne with an E. Kakwe is part of the Mi'kmaq tribe, and her family story is what I needed to see growing up as a half-indigenous tween girl. With Disney remaking the Peter Pan movie, hopefully they'll do right by Indigenous people this time. I mean, they're in a step in the right direction. They cast an actual Indigenous girl as Tiger Lily's, but we shall see if this Tiger Lily gets actual character development and her culture isn't whitewashed. And we shouldn't get stuck with the word representation. Representation is a word that people use to say that their movie or TV show is diverse. As an Indigenous person, it's not about representation for me. It's about being treated as a human. A human with that character development and all. The idea that Indigenous people are only human like the rest of us needs to be put in everybody's minds. The movie Smoke Signals is one of the first and few movies to do just that. Treat Indigenous people as human beings. And it won't be the last. Not on my watch.
My name is Sasheen Littlefeather. The treatment of American Indians today by the film industry.
White people playing native roles?
On television, in movie reruns.
I will now show you one of my favorite TV shows currently that does not stereotype the culture or history of Indigenous peoples. This show is one where Indigenous peoples are portrayed as just human. It's called Resident Alien. The cliff notes of the story is that an alien crash lands on Earth with a mission to destroy it. While he's trying to find his device that does the destroying, he takes the form of a human that he kills. The main female character is Indigenous, and she is not used as a plot device to move another character's story along. So it's your typical alien TV show, but with more diversity and every character connecting with each other in one way or another. And since this show heavily references Native American culture, they brought 2 Native American people onto the writing team. And they are also actors in the show as well.
You should be careful.
What do you mean?
Well, for all you know, your alien is a Christopher Columbus of the sky.
And they mention historically significant events in a way that's not racially insensitive. And it shows that us as natives can get PTSD from minor comments like that.
Are they supposed to be me? My people are not a costume.
Welcome to my life. Some native tribes, they talk about connections to beings from the stars.
Your people welcomed us for thousands of years, but then something changed. Humans became more fearful of us, of each other.
If you're an Indigenous filmmaker, whether it be producing, screenwriting, directing, acting, or editing, put your stories out there. Write your stories. And actors, only take jobs that show your people in a good light. For non-Indigenous people, keep taking in these stories. And remember, Indigenous peoples, Native Americans, whatever you want to call us, except for Indians, aka a name given to us by Christopher Columbus that completely erases another culture, but topic for another time. Remember, we, Native Americans, Indigenous peoples, are the original storytellers.
In the future, our hearts and our understandings will meet with love and generosity.